Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to wNS9 Plus. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim, we have Tyler, and we got our special guest tonight. We have Alex Stumpf. What's up, Alex?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going swell. How's it going for you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty darn good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I am. Which I don't know. How do we want to do the crux of why I'm coming on here today?
Well,
I thought you were here because Toby Keith died. So I'm drinking out of a red Solo cup.
America's only good song. Yeah. Do you mind if I just,
Well, I mean, you are coming on for a big announcement.
I am coming on for a big.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's like the decision on ESPN.
Yeah. I just want to make sure you guys didn't sell, the ad time like LeBron did or whatever.
No. Unfortunately, nobody wanted it.
Yeah, nobody wanted to sponsor.
We tried, Alex. They didn't care.
Well, then in that case, there's no sense of holding it back. Yeah, I'm here because I'm still going to be on the Pirates beat for 2024. I am taking my talents to MLB.com.
Hey,
damn it.
Let's go.
Congrats,
man.
Alex.
That's awesome.
Cool. And the reason why I'm doing it here is because these gents went to the winter meetings. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Went to the winter meetings, and they caught me on a particularly good moment. And I said, you know what? If I get this job, I'll announce it on the show. So there we go. And thank you,
right.
Doug.
So we got the exclusive.
You got the exclusive. This is
Yeah.
brand new. There we go. Nobody wanted it, and you couldn't sell ad time for it, but damn it, you got it.
No, that's
No.
awesome news. Congrats, man. It's
Honestly,
gonna be
congratulations.
it's gonna be great having you still on the Pirates beat for sure. I know everybody was hoping you were gonna stick around.
Appreciate that. It beats working. It beats working for a living.
I don't know. I think they could have done better.
Where am I going next then?
I don't know.
Right
Are you
here.
saying are you saying Alex?
You act like this wasn't a
Yeah.
fallback for me. Come on.
Yeah.
I am going to
You're
say
saying-
the offer was out there, Alex.
Yeah, it
you're saying
was out there.
Alex is the Rowdy Tellez to the Carlos Santana.
Alex, if you would have came here, I promise you would have got paid the same amount as me.
Dang. It's pretty good.
No, we would have paid you more.
Yeah, we definitely
Ooh.
would have paid you more.
So I get a
Harsh,
whole
guys.
McChicken.
Yeah,
I'm
this
just
is why
saying,
we need more sponsors because
transparency.
we wanted to just hire Alex as our beat writer, but we have no money.
Well, Jim likes to use we. Jim has money.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, you got
No,
a Tatis jersey hanging. I have something from Hobby Lobby.
Hey, you know what? This Tatis jersey was framed at Hobby Lobby.
Okay. A couple Hobby Lobby guys.
Yep.
But I do want to put out there, full transparency. The offer was given to Alex. Just so everyone knows, we gave a 10-year, $500 million deferred until 21-24. He declined it. So it could have happened. I'm just saying.
It was definitely
was
the
an
most
offer.
guaranteed money on the table.
Yeah, I'm not Otani. I want the money up front.
Guaranteed.
No, that's cool. It's gonna be good having you around. So that means what? Bradenton in a few days? for you?
Bradenton in a few days. Yep. I think my next
exactly
first
be
story for them runs on Wednesday. So a week from now, I'm back in the swing of things.
There you go.
Until then,
So for Valentine's Day, everybody can read an Alex article to their
There we
significant others.
What are we writing about, Alex?
I'm
By the way,
thinking
that's our latest TikTok. It's going to be all of us reading Alex's article to our significant others.
it is the worst foreplay in the history of mankind.
I don't know.
What if you know how like White Castle does those like Valentine's Day reservations? I think Fort go to like White Castle or
Waffle House.
yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like you after you do Valentine's Day at like Waffle House or White Castle, that's when that article just the mood.
That's whenever you want to find out what your expected WOBA is for the rest of the night.
Yes.
What's the first article about there, Alex?
I have it assigned to me and I can't remember it, so
All right, so it's going to be great.
it's going to be a banger. Absolute banger.
Really important.
Have you even written it yet?
No, it's doing a week.
Perfect.
It's doing a week. The Pirates might sign someone or not sign Gary Sanchez.
It's true. Definitely not signing Gary Sanchez now.
Alex is he's doing our job now too. What a segue.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. So Gary Sanchez signs with the Brewers today, 1 year, $7 million with a mutual option. Pirates were definitely in the mix, apparently, showed a lot of interest as all other players that the Pirates have shown interest in. They've all decided to go elsewhere, basically. So, yeah, Gary Sanchez on the Brewers, who already had the best catcher in the division. Thoughts.
Henry Davis better be ready to catch. I mean, that's the way I view Gary Sanchez. And I'm going to give a precursor to everything here. I have been away from DK for a couple weeks. And in that time, I have not talked to anyone really with the Pirates outside of like one or two very brief, like non-source conversations. So I'm a little out of the loop, I guess you could say, for a little bit. I'm your resident outsider.
You bring absolutely no value to the show.
I bring nothing. I bring nothing to the table. But I kind of looked at Gary Sanchez as hedging the Davis bet, because Davis either proves that he could be a major league catcher for most of a season, a full season, whatever that workload is, or he proves he can't. And if he can't, well, that puts a lot on Jason DeLay and maybe Ali Sanchez if he makes a team out of spring training or clears waivers. If not, you're going to Carter Bins, who I don't think anyone thinks, has a bat to really handle the major leagues. So I get why there was reported interest in Gary Sanchez. It really, not getting that deal done, it really just puts a lot of it more on Henry, because if he can't catch, I mean, that might be all she wrote for this season. They need production out of catcher. And Jason DeLay is a great defensive catcher. The pitching staff loves him, but you don't want him starting 100, 110 games this upcoming year.
Yeah, I said, shortly after the Sanchez signing, I tweeted out that all the chips are on Henry Davis now. Like, he, as important as like Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz and Mitch Keller are to this team, Henry Davis is single-handedly the most important piece, I think, to this team's success in 2024. Like, if he can handle the catching job and he can hit like we think he can hit, this team, that solves a lot of issues. Like, all the other pieces kind of fall in place a little bit. If he can't, then this team is scrambling. They're playing a catcher who really shouldn't be playing every day. They're playing guys in positions that they shouldn't be playing. This is the Henry Davis season. Like, it's him. The Pirates go as Henry Davis goes in 2024.
Does it not almost feel like O'Neal Cruz last year, where it was nobody really thinks he can play shortstop, but maybe this one's a little more extreme. But if everything works out, having that bat at that position means a ton to this team. And I think it's even more extreme with Henry Davis at catcher.
Yeah. I think that's fair. The best thing I could say is Jordan Comedina, the bullpen catcher, catching coach for the major league team, guy who made Jacob Stallings into a Gold Glover. I had a couple conversations with him last year. He worked with Davis a lot behind the scenes. He genuinely believes that this guy could be a major league catcher. And you know what? He thought the same thing with Stallings too. And I'm not saying Henry Davis is going to, win a Gold Glove or anything, but I trust Comedina's opinion with a lot of this. And man, that gives a lot of runway in my mind, at least, of like, hey, give him this shot if the coaching staff and him in particular believes this could happen. But I agree with Jim. Like, this is the Henry Davis season. If he hits 25, 30 homers and provides even average defense behind the plate, I mean, that's a 5-WAR season-ish? Like, that would be huge for this team. And it's hard to see him really being that successful if he doesn't at least do one out of those two. He either has to have that 140 OPS plus, or he's got to provide, plus defense metrics.
Yeah.
Aren't you almost hoping he turns into Gary Sanchez?
Honestly,
that's
yes.
Wow.
But I mean,
I'm just saying, like, defensively, Gary Sanchez wasn't exactly like a stalwart behind the plate.
Yeah, until last year.
But he turned into an okay catcher. Like, he
hit enough that it it didn't matter that he wasn't that great.
And hopefully, like, Henry has a longer career in the sense that he's not getting DFA'd and then rejuvenating himself in San Diego. But like, you're kind of right. Like, if he could be Gary Sanchez, like back in the day, that's a win. But I think we're just not unsure. And like, to your point, Alex, like, you're hearing that from him, and so you are feeling kind of positive and confident that like maybe there's something there, maybe he can catch. But it's like, but you're also seeing him, like, there's an opportunity that he could have caught one game after Austin Hedges was traded, and that didn't happen.
If he didn't get hurt, it would have happened. The injury really did.
You're pretty confident in that.
Yeah. If he didn't get hurt last year, he was going to catch a lot more in September. And by a lot more, I mean like actual honest to God starts.
So there's some optimism, that he can, and he's going to have to, especially with Indy out. But I just feel like this whole offseason has been like my key words, like just mitigating risk. Like, it's just like, that's what this offseason has to be, because there's just so many variances. There's so many unsures, what ifs. And it's like, if you can bring on something that is a certainty, right, that can certainly help out. So like, if Henry Davis doesn't, well, at least you have Gary Sanchez there and Jason DeLay. You know what? Like, there's a safety net there that you're not going to completely fall to the floor and be a 68 win team now. You can still like kind of keep going because you have some safety nets there. And I just feel like that's what they're really missing out on. And the signings they do sign are just more risks, like Rowdy Tellez, complete risk, like Marco Gonzalez, complete risk. It's like there's keep going down this route. And like to the group of people, or just anyone that's talking about, like, no one was really talking about Gary Sanchez last week, and everyone's like butthurt over it. Like, I get it, but I think the thing was, no one expected the Pirates. No one thought in their right minds that this would even be like a possibility. So when you heard the rumor, it was like, well, damn, they're actually entertaining like a real catcher, not just like a Kurt Casale, as I keep bringing up, So like, when the opportunity was out there, like, this could be a real thing, then hell yeah, let's get on board with it, because this could definitely make the team better. And 1 year, $7 million, like, can the Pirates just not do that? Like, was the money the issue, you think, here? Or
I mean, I just know basically on what they have to spend, this offseason. I think they could have gotten that $7 million in the budget, but that would have been pretty much it. Unless there was just something else, some development that's happened in the winter meetings that's like, no, that $80-ish million payroll, projection isn't going to be, that much more, or it's going to be actually a lot more than that. So I think they would have had a way to actually get that money in. I wonder if the player option factored into this, because you will get Endy back next year. And whether Davis works out behind the plate or not, you're going to have an answer this season. So if the answer is good, it's like, well, okay, now we get Endy back, and do we really need 3 catchers? And do you really sign that guy with it so clearly? Like, if things go well, you're probably going to get traded. So I can see why Gary Sanchez would want another opportunity with Milwaukee with that. I wonder how much that player option played into things here.
Going back to what you just said, though, do you have a slight idea, and I won't hold you to it, of what their self-imposed payroll limit is? Do you think it's $80 million, or
it's 80-ish? Yeah,
80-ish?
A little wiggle room. little wiggle room either direction. Which
I'm sorry, that is absolutely atrocious. That's embarrassing. I'm sorry. I'm not piling on Alex here. Just
don't shoot the
don't
messenger.
shoot the messenger. I know, but
Yeah, I mean,
Dang,
it's
show me a soda.
frustrating. It's definitely frustrating because you look at the other teams in the division, right? And they're all pretty significantly above that, right? The team that Gary Sanchez just signed with, the Milwaukee Brewers, estimated 2024 payroll 111 million. Cincinnati's at 100 million. So you've got these teams like the Pirates should be in that same realm as the Reds and the Brewers, and they're just not, and it's frustrating. I mean, a team like the Royals are 115 too. So these are teams that you should be on par with these guys. It's just frustrating. I don't know. I mean, we've harped on this so many times. I don't want to just completely beat a dead horse here, but you gotta spend some money.
Jim, I don't want to beat the dead horse either because we do beat the payroll thing into the ground. But just a question for Alex: do you think that is a Ben Sherrington imposed payroll trying to save money in the future, or Bob Nutting imposed payroll?
I would prefer not to speculate.
Okay,
if that's fair.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, it is something interesting. I mean, that question, Tyler, is, I mean, Bob Nutting told Jason Mackey in the Dominican Republic 2 weeks ago, like, Ben Sherrington's got the room in the budget to make this team better. He went out there and spent $10.5 million on a Aroldis Chapman, which made the team better. You would hope that that's not the only thing that they have room for, but there's still a lot of other guys out there. There's still people out there who can make this team better. I still expect them to do something. Like, they can't. I don't think you can go into opening day with this 40-man roster.
I think that's fair. I mean, I still look at that rotation, and it's one thing that you look at someone like Rowanzi Contreras and Bailey Falter. There's not a lot of starting pitching depth at the moment, so I can see, like, okay, that's either your fifth and your swingman, or maybe there's some way to go. You don't want to get rid of these guys who are out of minor league options, but do you want to go with them as your 4-5? Do you really just trust that? Do you trust that Luis Ortiz or Quinn Priester are just going to have these big bounce back years? It kind of feels like Henry Davis, is probably going to be the gas in the car, whether this goes or not, but like, there are some guys who were top 100 prospects not that long ago that didn't have great years last year that need to regain form. And if it's row night again, in May, and everyone's excited to see him take the ball every 5 days, or Luis Ortiz, shows that promise that he showed in 2022, that goes a long way here. But at the current state, just the amount of question marks you have in the rotation, you either A, have to acquire another starter, in my opinion, or B, you have to acquire even more bullpen help or defensive help to try to minimize those, starts whenever you have the back end of your rotation. It's like, you're going 5 innings. We're going to put the best defense we can behind you, and we're going to go to the bullpen fast, and we're just going to hope to God that, Majinski, Holderman, Chapman, and Bednar are just going to shut this down afterwards. So that is an actual way to do it. But, like, I believe they have room left in the budget to still add to this team, and I believe they need to.
Yeah. I mean, I think they got to add another pitcher, like you said. And I still think, like, Michael A. Taylor makes so much sense on this team. Like you mentioned, hey, if you're going to have this pitching rotation, you need good defense. And Michael A. Taylor makes that whole defense look a lot better. You put a Gold Glover out there in center field, you put Sawinski in right field, like, all of a sudden you got a pretty solid defensive outfield. You don't go out there and make that move, and you've got Sawinski in center, then Olivares is probably getting the bulk of your time in right field, who has shown in the past not to be that great out there. So it's, I think Michael A. Taylor makes a ton of sense right now. I think if I'm the Pirates, that's like that and a starting pitcher are my two priorities. I think it just makes too much sense right now. looking at everybody's available, you go Taylor, and like I'm not a huge fan of the guy, but I'd go Taylor Clevenger. Like I think you add those two pieces, and all of a sudden I start feeling a lot better about this season.
I feel super yucky about both those things.
What does Alex think?
I would lean more towards Taylor at this point. Like I know I get where you're coming at with Clevenger. I get where people would say, "Oh, Trevor Bower," because he has perceived upside. I just don't see there really being a starting pitcher on the free agent market that really moves this team that much. Like as bad as this is, I would rather get an answer on Roansy Contreras, for some time, and then know it like June. It's like, nope, Rowe, you're out. And it's Paul Skeens, or it's like, nope, Rowe is definitely a guy still. We can still use him. I would rather invest in the defense and the bullpen at this point of the offseason. Like, I think there might have been a missed opportunity. Maybe they do something to the trade. Maybe they do pick up a starting pitcher, but I'm not going to pretend that, Syndergaard is going to make this rotation look. Syndergaard in this rotation, unless, and he could bounce back, he could be a reclamation project, but that just doesn't seem like it moves the needle at all. Like, no, I would rather see a full season of Bailey Falter at that point.
I mean, I think Bailey Falter right now is better than Noah Syndergaard.
Yes,
I'll make that
their group chat.
Yeah, like I'll make that statement. Like Bailey Falter right now, better than Noah Syndergaard.
Yes.
If you had to make me choose, Bailey Falter 10 out of 10 times.
I'll take neither.
Oh, you got to pick. If you got to pick one,
no, I'll go throw.
I love the wind up to the size. There was some desperation in that one, Tyler.
Let me ask you. This is a hypothetical, and I think we haven't really talked about it because I don't think people think it's a possibility. But let's say spring training comes along. All these guys we're talking about who were competing for these last rotation spots, Falter, Priester, Ortiz, Contreras, they all look bad. And Paul Skeens is just shoving. Like,
yeah. Go ask it. Ask it.
What do
Say
you
it out loud.
What do you do? Like, does Paul Skeens make the opening day roster? Is there a way for that to happen right now?
There is one giant X factor with Paul Skeens in any decision, and it's not Super 2. It's not the extra year of control. This guy has never pitched on 5 days rest. He's never done the rest of a regular MLB starter outside of those very brief minor league outings whenever he'd go an inning. I don't really count those. That's just to get the routine done. He's never really done that. And I don't blame the Pirates if they just want to say, Paul, no, sorry, man, we're going to see you at some point this year, but we got to make sure you know the routine, you know yourself. There's a lot he could still grow with, I think, in the minors. Now, if push really came to shove, I guess it's in the realm of possibility because he is going to be in Major League spring training, but I would fully expect him to still be one of the first cuts, and he goes to minor league camp and he figures out the 5-man rotation, what he needs to do, and then we'll just see him mid-season. We're going to see him mid-season, assuming he's healthy. So I get the Pirates if they don't want to necessarily waste a year of team control for him to figure this stuff out up at the major league level because the results probably aren't going to be that great as is. It's also why I'm going to say here, if Skeens gets knocked around a little bit in Altoona or in Indianapolis or wherever he starts, don't hit the panic button. He's learning. This is what those starts would be.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's a reasonable take, Alex. So I appreciate that. The unfortunate thing is that's where this team has put themselves into, that position, right? They have to ask these questions. And like you're talking about, the budget here, and like they maybe could fit in like a Gary Sanchez here. So you're kind of getting an idea, engaging like, how much could be spent. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about too, like the options that remain in the free agency aren't really good, especially where the Pirates would go here and what they need, right? There's plenty of people out there, but like who actually fits with the Pirates and such talk about. So like maybe discuss the trade market. I mean, is there any possibility, any link, anyone they've been talking to? Do you sense a trade's going to happen of actual talent? Let's put it that way too.
Dylan Cease isn't going to be a Pirate if that's what
No,
everyone's thinking.
no,
Yeah.
that's out. Like, I'm thinking the Marlins. I mean, everyone's talking about the Marlins. I feel like for decades now that it's a good matchup, which I agree on. There's the Mariners, but I don't know so much anymore. But yeah, I mean, do you foresee like a trade almost like inevitable for this team?
I don't want to say anything's inevitable, except I don't think this team's done adding. I think whether it's this week, whether it's, the Pirate City portion of spring training, whatever it is, I can't remember who said it. Like, I don't think this is going to be the 40-man roster. The 40-man roster that's here today is not going to be the 40-man roster that's going to Miami. Like, there are going to be some changes. There's going to be they've got a little cash still to spend. They've got a lot of needs in different areas. Do you either bolster strengths like the bullpen, or do you address weaknesses like the rotation? There are ways to improve this team in either direction, and they still should have enough wiggle room financially to do it. And they've got a deep enough prospect pool that they can make a trade. Maybe not, one of their top prospects, but you've got all this depth. You got to use it at some point. They're not all going to make the majors. They couldn't all make the majors, even if they all panned out. You only got 40 spots.
Yeah. I think if you're looking at trades, a team that we really haven't mentioned, I know Connor, in our Discord has been kind of beating the drum for Paul Blackburn in Oakland. I think, Oakland's not playing for anything. He's got 2 years of control left. Like, that could maybe be a decent target.
Who did Oakland just sign, though?
They just signed Ross Stripling.
And
Alex Wood.
So either one of those would have fit real well in for the Pirates.
Yeah, I would have taken either, but yeah, Paul Blackburn, definitely an intriguing arm where you got to think that you could probably get him for not, like, you wouldn't have to give up a top prospect for him. You'd have to give up some talent, but he would slot in quite nicely in this rotation. He'd probably be your second best starter right now, for being honest. So there's definitely some people out there to trade for. I don't, Edward Cabrera, the Mariners guys are all there, but if you really want to kind of just get an arm who you can rely upon, there's a few teams out there, and the A's, I think, are one of them.
Yeah, I think the A's are just ripe for the picking for anyone at this point. And this could be, the trade deadline, whatever. Like, I don't think they're really going to be trying all that hard until they go to Vegas.
If they go to Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw that. I think there was that quote was out of context. If you read like the whole quote from that Las Vegas mayor, they're taking
either way.
A little bit.
Either way,
I would hope so, because that's weird.
I'm just thankful.
I haven't started the job yet, Jim. What makes you think I'm reading? Come on.
Yeah, Alex still has a week before he's got to pay attention.
Yeah. Whole lot more Hulu to still watch first.
I'm just saying, like, when you're down there in spring training, like, there's a couple podcast hosts that you could probably write an article about.
What?
Like, there's 3 guys right here that you could probably.
Who wants to read about a bunch of loser podcasts?
Everybody.
Only on Valentine's Day, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Release that. That's the Valentine's Day article.
That's the Valentine's Day article.
Oh, yeah.
Just a picture of Tyler downing a Busch Light.
I'm just saying, both of you guys had your little Nesbitt article on The Athletic. I haven't gotten them my flowers yet. Give me my damn flowers.
Do something. Do something somebody cares about.
I exist.
Just be like Miley Cyrus. You can buy your own flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just write. Oh, we've got a blog for this. Just like write a whole blog about how.
Screw you, Alex. I'm writing about myself.
Go for it.
You should compete. You should write a Valentine's article too and compete with Alex's.
Yeah.
See who wins.
There you go.
Oh, I'm going to make
who gets more views
about your, like, immediately after you post your first one. And I'm sure I'll get 1/100th of your views. So fight me.
Yeah. It's Pirates.com now. There's going to be a whole lot of eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, to jump a little bit, we'll talk about what are you looking forward to spring training this year? Like, is there anything? I mean, what are your eyeballs on as the new beat writer for MLB.com?
I'm really looking at those prospects who are pitching. Like, I think there, as much as we look at this opening day rotation and how many question marks and how there is this great sense of unknowing, I look at Skeens and Jared Jones and Salametto and Chandler. That is a group of four. That is a stud, rotation in the making right there. I want to see how they do in their first major league camps. Jared Jones might have been there last year. I can't remember what they do in there. He was okay. Well, for most of them, their first major league camps,
wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think so. You might be right, but just know the routine. How do you work with Oscar? How do you work with the catchers? Because I think there's a way all four of those guys are in the major leagues before the end of the year. Like Salametto and Chandler, it'd be pushing up a little bit, but if this team is competitive in September and they need a start, the Pirates aren't going to just, let them sit in the minor leagues and they do a bullpen game. Like, if they show they're ready and there is a need in the major leagues, I think it's possible. If not, we're still going to see him sooner rather than later. And I think that's, maybe I'm talking on my butt a little bit here. I would put that top four of pitching prospects up against any team's top four pitching prospects. I don't think you got to do better than those four.
That I agree with that. And on top of that, you even go deeper. Like, look at Altuna's rotation probably to start the year. You're going to have Paul Skeens. You're going to have Salametto. You're going to have Chandler. And you're probably having Harrington too. Like, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4 of just, you go to ESPN.com. Those are 4 top 100 prospects, right? So that Altoona rotation in particular, I'm super excited to see. If you live in the Pittsburgh area, short drive over there. If you live in Central PA, they're gonna have some talent to watch over there at it's not Blair County Ballpark anymore, is it? People's Natural Gas Field.
People's Natural Gas, yeah.
I always thought that was funny. The People's Natural Gas. Isn't that just? Is that just farting?
Man said the quiet part out loud. He didn't want to be silent but deadly.
Nice one, Alex.
Yeah.
I know we talked about, I don't think anybody really believes that Skeens will be up on opening day, even if anyone believes he should be. Talent-wise, yeah, he's probably a top 5 pitcher in this entire organization. Do you think there is any chance that this team's looking at like a Jared Jones or a... Oh, thought we had a Cahill signing.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
But do you think there's any chance that we would see a Harrington or a Jones on opening day? Maybe not on the Skeens level, but just someone like that. Just
not Harrington, just because there's a little more time to go. Jared Jones is, I think, the break in case of emergency. What Jim was, if all the options are really bad, and if Jared Jones looks real good, I could see him maybe being that type of guy who you do open the year with. Like, I would still say it's very doubtful, just because, he doesn't have that much experience in AAA. He could still grow in the minor leagues. But if they really need a guy, he's more major league ready at this point. He's more proven. He's shown he could go in 5 days. So why not?
So I guess the reason I asked that is because with the new rules of, you get the draft pick and all that crap, maybe a Jared Jones is a better option than a Paul Skeens, where you're trying to make sure he's exactly right before he comes up.
I think that's
and that year of control. But a Jared Jones is in a top 100. You could, if everything goes right, maybe we get an extra draft pick out of this bad boy.
Yeah.
That's if you think Jared Jones can be a top NL rookie as well.
If he's got a full season as a starting pitcher, you're going to have a great head start over most of the class, though. Like, I think that we only have a couple years to pull from here, but I feel like we're going to see a lot more that those guys who come up early, they have a much better chance just because they got an extra 6-7 weeks.
Yeah,
right. We talked about that a lot last year, like the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the year, where all these guys are coming up and they're just getting a head start on everybody else on opening day.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it with Endy too a lot.
Yeah.
Where if catchers just rack up WAR anyways. Endy had a bad
Right
year
now.
last year, and if you would have extrapolated that over an entire season, it wouldn't have been all that bad.
I don't think
Do you like
Eddie
that
had a
word?
bad year last year. I
Extrapolate.
know the stats were what they were, but I think he was figuring stuff out. It was a deeper season, and I thought the defense was quite good.
But I do wonder if a team like
Yeah.
the Pirates might go that route with like top 100 guys that are just maybe fringier, because they are what they are. Like, what's the odds that they're going to jump into the like top 15 where you're just really going to be really careful with them?
It's one of those I'll believe it when I see it type
I'm
deals,
with
but
you.
but what you're saying does make a lot of sense. If you do need a starting pitcher and Jared Jones shows in spring training that he is ready for the major leagues, why not go for it? Like, if things don't go bad, you can talk about the extra year of control. Here's the thing. If he stinks, you could send him down to the minors and you still have that year of control. And if he's good, you get the draft pick. So, I don't think they incentivized enough in the last CBA to have teams call up these guys and try to avoid the service time thing. Because, again, it's one thing for Paul Skeens, who hasn't pitched on 5 days before. It's another for someone like Jared Jones, who candidly probably would be one of the top 5 starting pitchers in this rotation, all things considered. But
I think they incentivized it enough. The Pirates just don't take advantage of it. They refuse to.
I mean, there's many teams that don't.
Yeah,
It's just unfortunate, but there's some that do. Kansas City Royals also being one of them.
You
talking
saw
about
with the
bad
Royals,
franchises.
saw with the Mariners.
We're talking about bad franchises.
I mean, the Royals are a pretty bad franchise.
except
they
for
won a
once every
World
30
Series.
years.
Yeah, I mean, they won a
Right.
World Series.
2045, eat those words.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see them do that one time, because they just, I mean, I can't remember the last Pirates prospect, hyped up Pirates prospect I can remember where they just called him up was Jose Guillen. And that was 1997.
I was thinking of Ramos Ramirez.
I was going to say, is Vinny still here watching? Because he don't know who that is.
I don't remember when Ramirez came up, but
I don't think Ramirez got sent back down a couple of times too. Like, he struggled, I think, that first.
I thought his rookie year was really good.
Ramos Ramirez had
besides the point.
72 games in 1998,
Okay.
18 and 99.
Damn, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't really pop off till like 2000.
Yeah. Guillen's the last one I can remember, honestly.
I'm not going to say that this player is even in the same stratosphere as Aramis Ramirez, but Diego Castillo was a top 20 prospect that they let break camp.
Fair.
We're not going to count Diego Castillo, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, again, I'm looking for some sort of precedent here.
Fair.
We don't have one.
But also, he falls in that category of we don't really care if you get an extra year of control because you're probably not hanging around all those years anyways, which was proven to be correct.
And they were high on Diego. They traded Clay Holmes for him.
They were high on a lot of people. And how did that work out?
They weren't very high on Clay Holmes, though, at the time.
No.
If you got Clay Holmes 2.0 and Tyler Beatty.
He's looking for he's still a free agent. I know isn't he looking for
No,
a
he's
deal?
signed somewhere.
Last week, right? Wasn't it the Reds actually?
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about it.
Where did he get signed?
I don't know.
Cleveland?
Did he pitch in Japan?
It was Cleveland.
Yeah, he went to Japan.
Yeah.
Walter will let you know.
Yeah. Old buddy Walter.
Jim's best friend.
It's not that everything's great.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know. We started talking about Diego Castillo. We put Diego Castillo in the same breath as Aramis Ramirez, and then it just went downhill from there.
Jose Guillen.
Hey, I will say this about Diego Castillo. The man is the greatest ping pong player I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
That's a fun fact.
There we go.
He's been DFA'd like 4 times this offseason, but he keeps
It
getting claimed.
has been a rough off season for him.
He's
Yeah.
like this year's Lewin Diaz. Diaz last year, I feel like, was on like 7 different teams.
Pirate legend.
Yep.
Yes.
That's my
So,
that's my ex Marlin for the day.
Alex, do you have to learn Spanish?
I want to learn Spanish. It's
I feel
something
like
I'm
that'd
gonna.
be very beneficial for you.
Yeah,
Like
I
at this point, yeah.
definitely. I basically all I know is Kayla K and what's up.
Como te
Donde está la biblioteca? You know that the most.
I don't know what you said. Like none of those words. I have no idea what that meant.
Where is the library? That's what that means.
It's the pregnant pauses that just.
I'm just looking at Tyler's face.
Tyler's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I
I
have
was
no
like, I've
idea.
never been to a library in my life. I live in Ohio.
It's beautiful here.
Oh,
we had
God.
sunshine today, damn it.
There you go, BD.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. So someone tweeted out like the top 400 fantasy starting pitchers, and Paul Skeens was the number 2 Pirate on the list. That's how you know how things are in the Pirates world.
I don't read pitchers list. How long is their top starters list actually?
400.
400.
It's not
named
actually-
400 pitchers.
It can't actually be 400.
Oh, they named 400. There were 10 Pirates on the list, and only
I'm
one
sorry,
was in the top 150.
400 starting pitchers.
It's the new MLB.
Yeah, Keller was like number 60 something. Skeens was
I mean-
like 102 on the list, and then no one else for the Pirates was in the top 150.
That's 13
Alex, LA
and a
has
third
38
starters
of
for
them.
every team. With
LA
no
has
overlap.
38 starting pitching rotation pieces right now.
That's true. The Dodgers have like 12 good starters.
And 5 ligaments, UCLs between them.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I guess those guys don't even count on the list. It's fantasy. It was for fantasy starting pitchers in 2024. They ranked 400 of them.
I refuse to believe that it's actually 400.
I'm actually going to look.
If you're in a league that
I'm
needs
gonna look at this
400
list.
pitchers, you probably
Yes.
need a new league.
Yes, that is a cry
Well-
for help.
If you're ready,
Get a
to
life.
Pitchers.
Stop it.
Life.
If you are scouring the Rockies AA roster to see who might be this year's Jared Eichhoff, you've got a problem.
If you're scouring their major league roster right now, you're in trouble.
Well, speaking of Jared Eichhoff, if we're going to talk about guys
Speaking
the
of
Pirates
Jared
should sign.
Eichhoff.
No, in all seriousness. Alex, is there a guy out there right now that you think the Pirates actually should go after? Just on that lower level, because that's all that's left.
Yeah, starting pitcher wise, no, I really don't. I'd rather
You
get
don't think
a
there's anybody you want to go after? Because
no.
I'm still like, call me crazy. I still think there might be a little bit in the tank of Alex Wood.
I
signed
get
him.
it.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Did
Alex
he sign?
Wood's
Talked
a
about
Oakland
two
A.
days.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, that just happened.
I mixed up with
All right.
Travis Wood for that.
Okay,
But
well,
no,
well,
like
Oh, you know
what
what?
about
Maybe,
Cookie
whoa,
Carrasco?
maybe it
Travis
is
Wood.
Travis. Hold on. Travis.
yeah, someone fact check me on that because I hadn't
Hold
seen
on.
anything on Alex yet.
Oakland.
Yeah.
Oakland.
Alex.
one of them just flat out
Alex
sucked.
Wood.
Okay, Alex Wood signed
Yeah.
with
Okay.
Oakland. Okay, well, that makes sense on why it fit because he went to Oakland.
Travis
what
Wood,
about-
though.
Did Cookie
hasn't pitched
Carrasco
since
sign anywhere yet?
2017.
Yeah,
Or
he
did
just
I-
minor
deal
league.
with Cleveland.
Carrasco signed, yeah.
I give up.
But honestly,
on,
like
hold
with
on.
just where
I
they
need to
are, in,
fix the show.
with
All right, let's continue.
all right, with where they are starting pitching wise, what's available out there. If you make a trade would be great. Welcome back. Trade would be great, but available.
I didn't want to have
options-
to pull this card, but my dog just died, so I've been paying attention. So
Yeah, we
piss on you,
gotta
Donato.
give Tyler a pass.
And we're
I've been out of commission for like a week. Well, like 5 days, but now I have to trash Donato. Go ahead, Alex.
To be fair, Alex Wood also have him before then. Continue.
Tyler, I got your back. You shouldn't have known about Alex Wood.
Been a little bit busy.
Sorry about your dog.
Thanks.
I'd rather get an answer with a lot of like the Luis Ortiz's and Roansy Contreras first, because midseason you get Brubaker and Burrows back, and you have all those prospects ready to go. And please, can we talk about anything else?
Yes. I don't know.
Poor Alex
Why
got
doesn't-
pulled into that because Nar's an asshole.
Yeah, that's DiNardo's fault right there. He shouldn't have been.
Way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point, I'm to the point now where this offseason's been bad. It's been a bad offseason. They haven't done what they needed to. And there is a way to just completely solve it. And that's to go out there and make a splash. I don't think that's going to happen. But like, gosh, Cody Bellinger fits so perfectly on this team, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They
That ain't
could get
happening
Gary
now.
Sanchez.
I know, but that would be perfect.
I don't think a splash fixes this though, because the reasons why I think this has been a poor off season is because you lost Oviedo and you lost Sendy, and those are two guys who were not only supposed to be big contributors, on the field, but they were two great clubhouse guys too. And there really isn't a replacement that they could have in there. It's not a bad offseason because the Pirates chose to side Rowdy Tellez over Carlos Santana. It's a bad offseason because you lost your number 2 starter, you lost your starting catcher, and there really isn't a whole lot you could do to replace them, even if you can match their on-field production or even better their on-field production. Like, that's why it's been a rough offseason.
Can I just... This is not... Alex, love you to death, but that kind of does feel like a cop-out for this team. I don't want to give them a cop-out.
Oh, no. They could have done more. They should have done more. Like, this rotation is not good enough yet. Unless...
That's the thing. I don't want people to be able to look back and say, well, Oviedo had Tommy John and Andy had Tommy John, and that's why this season went poorly. No, it went poorly because every single person you tried to develop failed. Every one of them. At this point, they've all failed.
It's hard to disagree there.
Hasn't been
I
great.
mean, you look at it and you say, let's say this is playing hypothetical in the future. It's October 1st. Pirates are coming off a 74-win season, right? You could look back and say, well, you know what? That wasn't that bad considering Oviedo and Andy Rodriguez didn't play at all. But again, in year 5 of this rebuild, like, that shouldn't have been that big of a deal. There should be more starting pitchers that are ready by now. There should be more depth in the position players. There should be some sort of second baseman who didn't crap out once they got to AAA. But yeah, I agree it's an excuse. And I think if this team doesn't fare well this year, that excuse will probably be used by some people. And it doesn't put them off the hook. Like, does not let them off the hook at all.
I think you're underestimating what a 74-win season, like, how many people are actually going to get off the hook for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's year 5. They should be competitive. They should make the playoffs, or at the very least be in that playoff discussion till the very end of the year. They need to show that the bare minimum for this year should be a winning record in firm optimism that next year you're in the playoffs. You're a legitimate contender. That should be like the floor. If that can't be achieved, I don't think there's a cop-out for any of it. It needs...
I would
Do you
honestly
think, in
even
your
be like...
opinion-
Go ahead.
No, I'm say, do you think, in your opinion, they feel they're there, or they feel they're one or two, whatever, probably minor moves they're going to make, upcoming to break to Miami, right? That 40-man roster away, or do you think they're kind of looking at this and saying, we're not?
I will say the players believe they are. And that's the most important thing. That, like, I've been in clubhouses, whatever. It's like, yeah, we're trying to learn. We're trying to get through and you can tell we're just trying to get through this year. That was not the case those last 2 months of last year. Whatever they played, at a pace that would make them a playoff team. It wasn't, at Pirates Fest talking to guys. It wasn't. They believe. The players believe that they can make that jump. The coaching staff believes that they have to make that jump. They need to make that jump. They need to show that this is a competitive ball club in 2024 and beyond. I think the people who actually are going to win and lose games believe that they can do it. And I would argue that's the most important demographic of play or people.
I do agree with you there, Alex, because we saw a lot of baseball at the end of the year that looked like a team that still did care. And that's a credit to Derek Shelton, and he's absorbed a lot of criticism from a lot of people, including us. But at some point, I think some of those guys do look in the clubhouse and go, we need some help. And I don't know if they got that help.
That's fair. But I think they always knew that it was going to be, most of it was going to be on them. That if this team was going to be good, it was going to be because Henry Davis is a big league stud. And Peguero and Cruz and Gonzalez, they're not all going to hit, but there's just sheer probabilities of these, or the sheer numbers that they had of a lot of these guys. Okay, now we actually got a ball club here. It just takes a couple more guys like Sawinski who were fringy, and then Sawinski looks like an impact player for years to come. Like, you just need to hit a couple times like that.
You don't mean that literally, right? He needs to do more than hit just a couple times. That's kind of his problem. We don't need to hit a couple times in July again.
You know what? I'll say this. Jim, were you the one who was going to jump on the Sawinski bandwagon here?
That was me. Yep.
I'm going to out myself here. In Colorado last year, whenever he just went off, I said to the other beat reporters, like, is he going to be an all-star this year? And of course he wasn't, because we were going to get the Sawinski slumps. But if he could even those out, if the valleys are not weeks or a month long, I think this guy could be an all-star in 2024. I think that's a sleeper pick for this team.
See, I say something like that, and DiNardo gets up out of his seat.
Hold on. You didn't say – you said Jack Sawinski is better than who?
Brian Reynolds. Alex didn't say Brian Reynolds was going to be an all-star in 2024. He said that Jack Sawinski was.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think they're both fine ball players. Brian Reynolds does not have those valleys. Or the valleys are not as pronounced.
That's 100% accurate. Brian Reynolds also doesn't have the peaks that Sawinski has, though, too.
Where were you the first 2 weeks?
First week of the year, outside the first week of the season.
He had 20 RBI by the end of by tax day.
Yeah,
I'm a big Sawinski guy, and so that's where, like, there is some optimism here. Like, and like I said, it rides on Henry Davis, but like, if Henry Davis can be that guy, and he joins Cruz, Reynolds, Sawinski, and then you just hope that Hayes is even just a sliver of what he showed us towards the end of last year. I'm not even expecting that over a whole season. Like, if he can just show a little bit of that, the offense has potential to be pretty good. The pitching is going to be the issue. The bullpen's going to have to make up for the starting rotation shortcomings. Can they do that over an entire 162 game season? I don't know, because even bullpens are gonna they're gonna die down there towards the end if they're overused. I kind of look at this like, I'm not really quite sure how I'm gonna assess this season. It's gonna depend on just how it goes. Like if they win 79 games and they're just mediocre the entire season, and they win, they basically finish just below 500. I'm probably not going to be too happy, but like, if this team goes out there and does like what the 2012 Pirates did, and like play really good baseball for like 5 months and then just maybe die down in the last month, then I'll look at it and be like, you know what, there's something here. Like next year, we should have pretty high expectations. So I'm just curious on how the season plays out. I think the starting rotation is going to be the biggest issue by far. But the rest of the team, if Henry Davis can perform, should be decent.
And I'll once again say it with the rotation. It's, I think, a big part of this team. Can they survive like the first 2 months?
Right.
Because whenever you get Skeens up and Jones is up and Brubaker, who's a reliable hand, is healthy, and Mike Burrows, who has upside, is healthy, I think that rotation is going to get better as the year goes on, which is something few teams can, ever claim. If they could just survive those 2 months, and I think it gets a whole lot simpler. You start running downhill at that point.
I get it, Alex, but we've heard this so many years in a row.
Who
Like, just
went
get-
into
just-
2021 thinking if they could just get through the Trevor Cahill signing and then
But
I'm
oh,
sure we could
maybe
find
I
some
was-
receipts of people on
I
Twitter
was-
who were.
I was wrong. I spoke incorrectly about saying many years in a row, but I'm thinking back to like 2013 through like 19, where it was just, well, let's just get through these first couple months. This guy's coming. Nick Kingham's coming. Jameson Tyon's coming. They don't come. That's what she said.
All right, Kamala. So
Rosenthal doesn't have to deal with this. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Rosenthal's not
that's
laughing.
why they get sponsored. Were you gonna complete that? Tyler, were you gonna finish?
I couldn't.
Oh my God.
It's such a bad show.
I see where you're coming from, though.
Stop. We just gotta stop. Let's get this on track. That wasn't even intentional.
That wasn't.
I know.
I was gonna finish, but I had another thought.
All right.
I continue.
Deep breath. Go ahead.
No, we've seen this in the past, right? Where prospects are supposed to be ready mid-season, and they're either not
coming.
ready, they get hurt, or they arrive and they just aren't what you hope that they're going to be.
I get that, but again, I'm just going to go with last year's group. And look, if you look at it individually, Pagera may not have had the greatest, run in the majors. Endy may not have had the best results in the majors, but they played like a team. And they won for 2 months. There has to be something to be said. You brought up the 2012 Pirates here. I think there's something to be said that from April, August, and September, yes, I'm gerrymandering the season. That's a playoff team. And then absolute wasteland in between there. But for 3 months, especially the 2 months where it's the core you've been building coming up to the major leagues, they look like they are a competitive ball club. That has to mean something.
I think the discouraging part about last year's end of the year is that they were winning, but it wasn't because of like the young guys. Like they were winning because like Henry Davis did nothing those last 2 months. Andy Rodriguez didn't do really anything those last 2 months. Nick Gonzalez didn't do anything. Pagera didn't do anything. Like the young guys that they called up didn't do anything. Triolo was the only exception, I think. But like you were riding on Joshua Palacios hitting late inning home runs. You were relying on Ryan Barucki coming in with runners on base and shutting things down. Like Hayes had a lot to do with it, and that's a positive, right? I think we're not talking about Hayes and Reynolds enough because those are two good baseball players that are solid and they're going to help you. but it's like it was the young guys, like the guys that you wanted to see help you. I just didn't see them do it. And same thing on the pitching staff too. Like it wasn't Quinn Priester, it wasn't Luis Ortiz, it wasn't those guys. It was Osvaldo Bido piggybacking with I don't even know who, like Rob Zastryzny. I don't know, but like they
It
were
was
just
Andre
piecing-
Jackson, who's now in
They
Japan.
were just like, yeah, Andre Jackson. It was guys like that where they were just like piecing together wins, and they weren't winning the way I would have wanted them to win, I guess is kind of what I'm saying.
Only counter that is this is definitely beneficial for me. Like I get to see it. I think you really underestimate how much like Endy and Peguero and a lot of those young guys coming in, what they meant to that clubhouse. Like just making it a good environment and helping, get Hayes in that spot that he is going to have. He's going to hit 2 doubles that day. And look, I get what you say, but Barecki showed that he could pitch in those situations. You got some guys who showed that they could be useful, either as everyday or situational players. So I get what you're saying. It would have been a lot easier if it was Nick Gonzalez, who had a 110 OPS plus the last 2 months of the year, and that was a big reason why they really didn't have that. But I think that the culture, what they were able to do as a whole, there was I know I keep bringing up those last 2 months, but I think it was legitimate. I think that was really just where that ball club was at that point, talent-wise, performance-wise, and the results were pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, the clubhouse culture is certainly a thing. I think Vinny brings up a good point here in the comments too. Like, I was very impressed with Derek Shelton over the last few months of the year. I think he showed that this was a team that was playing for nothing, and he got them believing that, hey, we're going to be in the playoffs next year. Let's start acting like we're in the playoffs now, and the team bought into that. So yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I want to kind of say my piece on that too, because this is where I disagree with Jim also. Like, I'm going to call you out here, Jim, because the first thing going what you said right now is that kind of encourages me also, because like rookies are going to struggle. We talk all the time. We talk all time and time again. This is why you get them up, let them go through their struggles, because most of the time people need to struggle to find success. So like, don't hit the panic button because rookies are struggling. Let them work through it so they can become successful, right? So like in your mind, you're thinking like a lot of them got the struggles out last year. So there's probably room for them to improve this year, So it's nice to see that with the struggles they were there. But I guess where I'm coming from is, but also like Hayes probably isn't putting up a 9-WAR season next year. So like that's going to come back down to earth, So, and you can't guarantee that every rookie is going to. So there's the variance. And again, we've lost 2 people that were involved there. Oviedo is gone now, and he's gone now. What they've done to replace that. So like that's where my issue is on this year. Like I'm comfortable and glad that they finished the way they did. That makes you optimistic for this year. But then knowing that and where they've gone from that just leaves you feeling like, well, did they get better than that? I don't really know. Like when Hayes comes down and someone else goes up, that evens out. You lost 2 guys, so 2 other rookies got to come up to even out. And now you're just evening out at like maybe a 500 team again. Like, is that good enough? But what I want to call you out for is you're talking about like 2012 season. If the 2024 season was 5 months of being really, really good and the last 2 months they fall off, then you'll be happy with that. That's what last year was, except the last 2 months was baked into the middle of the season. Honestly, like the beginning of the year was good. The ending part was, as we're talking now, was good enough, right? It was that middle part that was terrible. So that's really what 2023 was. And I don't feel that good about 2023 either. So is it really just because it was 5 consecutive months?
Yeah, it was more
Okay.
consistency, and yeah. It was a young team. Like that 2012 team was a young team. It was their first time really, being in the limelight and having success, and they fell apart at the end. And I think what happened in 2012, what happened in 2012, holy moly, what happened in 2012 played a large role in 2013. Like they went through all that in 2012. And they learned from it, and they figured out, all right, here's what we need to do in 2013. And maybe like to Alex's point, maybe going through those wins at the end of last year, maybe that just bleeds into this year, and they have that expectation now where, hey, we can do this. We've shown it. We've shown it down the stretch run. Yeah. I think there's a lot of negativity around this team because we don't think they've done enough this offseason. But they still have some talented guys out there that we really just don't know who they are. And there's a possibility that they're better than we think. So I guess, it's not all doom and gloom this coming season. It could be okay.
I'm going to make a metaphor here real fast here. That game against the Reds at the end of the year, the comeback. Yeah. Was that comeback because the team was good and the culture was good and they believed and they fought, or was it because Alfonso Rivas had 5 RBIs?
It was because Alfonso Rivas.
Because of Alfonso Rivas.
Who's I would disagree with that. Yeah, I would disagree with that. That's the actual answer.
So I guess my thing here is we look at that 20-8 start. Oneil Cruz is out. Mitch Keller pitched out of his mind. Brian Reynolds played out of his mind. You have Carlos Santana. I guess my thing here is when I look back at that team that started off so hot, they did little things very, very, very well. And Carlos Santana's part of that. Like he will move a runner. He will do little things in a baseball game that you don't notice that he does very well. Oneil Cruz doesn't do that. Oneil Cruz hits bombs. He's very talented. But at that point, you have other guys filling in there, and you have other guys that are doing little things well. So for a month, it was able to work out that way, and then it all fell apart. Replacing that with Rowdy Tellez, and we hope Oneil Cruz comes back and becomes a superstar, but we don't know anything about him. Like, we still don't know anything. He's getting older, and we don't know anything about him. When we look at that team that played very well in the early part of the season, that concerns me because we're back to a point where we're playing very, very modern baseball of let's hit a bunch of bombs and figure it out, and we don't really play baseball that well. That concerns the hell out of me about this team. There's not any bit of there's no moving runners anymore, Alex. I still love it. I'm just going to complain about it. I want to move runners. I want to bunt. I want to do shit like that.
Where my country going?
Where my country going? They took our germs.
No, and I hear that, but I would say, little things they did well. Okay, steal bases. Cruz could definitely help with that.
Yeah.
Cruz
played really well for a month, and then he was terrible.
G1 Bay stole a lot of bases for a month, and then started getting caught stealing. That's really
an idiot.
Well, that's the G1 Bay experience. Whenever he's stealing bases, he's going to be valuable. Whenever he's caught stealing, he just doesn't bring a whole lot outside of his defense. Then, so look. I get what you're saying with that. I will also look. A lot has to go right for this team to be really good this year. I look at someone like Carlos Santana, and I brings a ton for the clubhouse. Great for the culture type of guy. But in terms of on-field production, what do you got to get out of there? You're going to get a 100 WRC plus and good defense. You're going to get like a 2-WAR player. I get Rowdy Tellez is a lot more of a wild card in this, but he also hit, 30 home runs not that long ago? With that short porch, he could hit 30 home runs again if he's healthy. I think he could have a bigger on-field impact.
Or he could be a negative 1 WAR player.
He could be.
And that's so
that's a great
also Connor Joe might not be a plus 150 WRC plus guy.
Because
that's what he was.
Versus lefties, I guess.
For a month.
No, the first month of the year, he was unreal.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. But there's a lot of boomer bust. We look at Henry Davis is the gas in this car. He could be Ryan Domit, theoretically, and if they Pirates so chose, he could have, negative whatever
I
WAR,
hope-
or he could be an impact player, an all-star type of, have that type of season if he's going to hit 25, 30 homers behind the plate. There's a lot of boomer bust. Roansy Contreras could pretend that it's 2022 again, or he could be throwing 90-mile-per-hour fastballs. Luis Ortiz could be that guy that shot up from Bradenton to the major leagues in less than a year, or he could be in AAA the whole year. There's so much boomer bust with this team. And It's no secret that a lot of the success, this is built of, okay, a lot of these guys got a hit, but that's always been, the goal with this. Like, a lot of these young players are going to have to break out at the major league level.
And that's why my biggest thing this year, and you're a smart person, Alex, so let me hear your viewpoint on this too. But that's why these signings need to be more like Carlos Santana. I want them to be safer. Rowdy Tellez has the potential to be that guy that you're talking about, right? But he also has the potential to be that negative one WAR player, which all the current players, for the most part, already have in them, right? So why not start building safety nets around the team? Why not get, hey, maybe it's short ceiling, but a very, very high floor. There's some safety there. There's some insurance there. So that way, if this prospect busts or booms, that variance just doesn't, it's not this far now. It's maybe this.
The problem with that is it also limits the upside. And I get it with Santana over Tellez, especially since Santana was vocal, hey, I would love to come back to Pittsburgh. It just didn't happen. I don't see Santana really doing anything besides finishing somewhere between 1 or 2 WAR for this year. And just with the amount of resources that the Pirates have to spend in free agency, I get why they don't want to invest a large portion to it for someone who's got to finish with 1 point whatever WAR. You got to swing for the fences at some point. I'm going to quote a Futurama bit here. Bender is fishing with a small, with a regular fishing pole. He's like, screw this. And he bends this giant hook, out of a girder. He's like, if I'm not going to catch a fish, I may as well not catch a big fish. So
okay,
go with that mindset.
I'll say this because
you got to find impact. You got to add impact players in it, and
I get it, but
you got to assume risk.
Rowdy Tellez. They signed Rowdy Tellez for $3 million.
I'm going to say this
you
about
just
Tellez.
not do that.
I'm going to say this about Tellez because I think we've been bashing Tellez nonstop, and since Santana's not coming here, I've kind of been trying to talk my way into maybe Rowdy Tellez isn't that bad. Rowdy Tellez got hurt last year, and you can tell when he got hurt because
it was over.
It was done for him. But Rowdy Tellez had 12 homers in the first 2 months of the season. He had a weighted runs created plus roughly around 118 or so. The dude was crushing the ball in April and May, and then got hurt and completely fell off a cliff. So you know what? I'm on the Rowdy train.
To build off of that real fast, it's one thing. Yeah, he was very clearly hurt, and that's why the results struggled. Rowdy Tellez is also probably the type of player that is going to get hurt, maybe a bit more often than other guys. So I get both ends on this, but I also get for a 1-year deal, let it fly. We got Jared Triolo and Connor Joe as backup if it really hits the fan. Why not? May as well not catch a big fish.
Let's go, Rowdy.
Yeah, I think
Rowdy.
Is terrible.
I kind of like the signing. And look, I really like Carlos Santana. I think there was a way they could have coexisted and kept them both on board. But if you're talking about who is going to actually make a bigger potential impact on 2024, I think it's Tellez. Now,
I agree.
Impact could be positive or negative.
Well,
O'Neal Cruz is going to be playing shortstop. Who's playing first base?
Tellez and Joe.
Yeah, I want someone to field a baseball.
That's fair.
You know what?
I think
small things.
I have faith that O'Neal Cruz is actually going to be able to play the position very
I'm going to second that. I think
effectively.
I think people really slept on like how much better he looked defensively last
He
year.
just broke his leg, Alex. He
fine.
can't move.
It's a clean break. It heals easily.
He's
It's the best kind of injury you
freaking
can have.
7. How many NBA players come back from crap like that? Not many. And now we're talking about a guy playing shortstop.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Sure. He'll be in center field
Power of
by
positivity.
August.
Just manifest it.
I have no positivity. My life's over. I'm just here for the ride.
All right, we getting out of here?
We are now.
Hey, before we leave, I just want Alex to be like the 8th person to say this. But Alex, are the Pirates going to sign Trevor Bower or what?
No.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
All right. Well, with that said, I guess, Alex, as always, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in spring in Bradenton in a few weeks, right?
See you in Bradenton.
So get ready to read Alex's Valentine's article about the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Read
it to your significant other. Yeah.
That's right. That's what I'm going to do. She says I don't get her anything.
Set the mood.
Guess what, baby? All right. Further, let's get out of here. Everyone, appreciate you all for watching, listening. We'll be back again next week. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.